Get you some of that beautiful swirled cast iron footage. And let me see how I want to do this today. And then hit this thing. Any duration. There we go. And hopefully I don't mess this part up. And there we go. We should be good. Thanks, Rick. I'm still messing with the thing there. Now, can anybody tell me on the other end, since there's not that many folks in here and we're not started yet, does it say subscribers only at the bottom? It should say that because it says it on my end. Gluten-free pancakes on my number 9 large block logo Griswold. Very cool, very cool. Handsome Stone, good to see you. I think this year, I was kind of thinking about my cast iron collection in this new year, and I think I'm going to do some Griswold this year. I think that's going to be my goal of things to pick up is going to be the Griswolds, for sure. I'm going to get some large block of logo Griswold that I do not have as of right now. I have one, and that's about it. So, yeah, I just have that one number 3. I think as far as my Griswolds go, so I think I just turned on. I think I just turned on something that I didn't want to turn on. There we go. Now we're connected into the chat, into the comment section. There we go. GH, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. Good to see you. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and get started with everything. Now, I do have a little cough today. I'm not really feeling 100%, but we'll get through it. Love the swirls. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that here in just a second. Now, one of the things that I'm sure everybody knows from watching this channel, if you've even watched some of the older videos, regular videos, not just the live streams, but I am 150% anti sanding, grinding cast iron, 100%. Those are just clickbait videos that have absolutely, there's no need for them at all. And I don't know if you guys can see this very well, and if not, I'm gonna pop the light on with this. Let me plug this in, because I don't generally use the light on my, I don't generally use the light on my ring light that I use for these things, but I'm gonna pop that on real quick because I don't think it's coming in very well. So let me plug that in, and then because I don't want to have this extra cord laying around. But if you'll probably see that a lot better now. I swirl that around. The swirl marks in here, when people say that old cast iron and vintage cast iron is smooth, it's not. It's always been milled. It's not sanded, it's milled. And I thought this would be a really good, even though this is sort of it's just an unmarked Wagner skillet from the early 70s. This would be a really good example of what I was trying to talk about with milling. They don't sand, they didn't grind those out, they polished them. They polished them and they milled them. They weren't sanded, there was a lot of things they did not do that people have the misconception that they did to these cast iron skillets. Sanding them down to a mirror finish is something they never did. And, so like I said, it's those are clickbait videos. They're not worth watching. If you're watching this and you're like, oh, I sand my cast iron and all that, a lot of the grinding, if you can see on the sides, that's where the grinding went on. The grinding went on right here, as should be. And this could probably have been, this is another perfect example of why not to buy 70s, 80s, 90s Wagner, is that it doesn't have the greatest, it wasn't made that great. And you can see there's one part on here where you can see this side right there, where that's the mold mark. That could have been ground off. That could have had some grinding done to it there. I've actually got a Cajun Classic. I've got a Cajun Classic on one of the crawfish oval roasters that needs ground on the bottom a little bit, because I can't set it on anything. It's so rough that I can't set it on anything without it scratching the surface that I put it on. But I just wanted to show this one. This was about the best example of milling that I had. So if you can see that, I hope you can. And if not, we'll get a better shot of it once, because I'm going to do the pancakes in here. Because I wanted to use a thicker cast iron skillet to do these pancakes. Because these pancakes, it's basically you're making a souffle. You're making a pancake souffle is really what you're doing. And so I wanted to have a thicker cast iron skillet to do that, because the heat's got to be so low to do that. So there we go. That's what we're doing. So anyway, we put that over here. We'll put that off to the side. And then we're going to go ahead and get started with the other part of this. Let me glove up. Let's see, BSR Century swirls are on point. My Griswold has beautiful swirls too. Yeah. You know, I have a BSR out in the garage that needs to be done, and a Century, and it has great swirl marks in it. Great. And that was one of the reasons, though, even though I knew that wasn't, and I picked that skillet up at a time when I didn't really, you know, at the time, anything I could identify, I was picking up. And I do want to heat that. I do want to throw that on the heat right quick. I do want to start warming that up. But I picked that up at a time when I picked up anything that I could identify. And that was really the super heavy swirl marks in it. Very, very interesting. Yeah, they're really pretty. I mean, and you know, I paid a little bit too much for it. This is one of the, and that's also one of those skillets that I'm going to have for the rest of my life, because I'll never get back what I paid for that if I wanted to get rid of it. And I have often thought about getting rid of it, but I'm never going to recoup what I paid for it, because I didn't know what I was doing when I bought it. So I was buying an unmarked Wagner, and that's what I was doing. So tap the screen to show the love. Yeah, please do. Please do. And yeah, we might not have as many folks in there. I wanted to try this subscriber mode out, because I'm just trying to play around with some of these things. And this new year, we're going to be doing a lot of different things on the channel, and having folks in here that are just, and we haven't had a lot of trouble with people causing any kind of problems, but it's been one of those things where, you know, just rather have the folks that are actually here that want to see stuff and come back and do that, than have a bunch of people that aren't, you know, just popping through and whatever, that don't really, you know, want to be in the chat. They can watch anyway. So anyhow, what we're going to do, now this is one of those things that I think, now I've never attempted these before, but this seems like one of those deals where, one of these recipes where if it can go wrong, it's going to go wrong. So, you know, I am going to put that out there before I start doing it. But I've really been wanting to do them for a minute, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do for today's stream, and that seemed like it was kind of a little bit of a challenge, and I could kind of something that's sort of out of the ordinary that you don't normally get to mess around with, and that folks usually don't make a lot of. So I just wanted to try it out. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to make a bunch of stuff on the sides. I'm not going to do anything for the sides or anything like that, because there's going to be, you know, this is going to take some mixing. It's sort of a meringue base. I think we all paid too much for pieces while we were just starting out. Yeah, that's 100% Rock Caver. Like I said, I mean, that one was one that I bought. I'm trying to think if I picked it. I'm pretty sure I picked it up on eBay, but I'm not 100% sure. Now, also with these, you kind of want to have this is one of those recipes that I figured out kind of just strictly from the internet, because the the recipe is really, there's not a lot to the recipe. And as I look around, I don't have the recipe laying right in front of me. I think I left it sitting on my desk. Let's just hope that's the case. Yeah, I left it sitting on the desk. Where all my crayons were so I could write this stuff down. But there's not a lot in it. There's just, it's going to be a couple eggs, 2 eggs, a couple teaspoons of milk, a little bit of vanilla, which I need to grab out right quick. And basically you can add any flavor that you want to this with the extract. That's not that big a deal. The couple of separated eggs, like I said, 3 tablespoons of sugar, a quarter teaspoon of cream of tartar, and that's pretty much it. The flour, and a little bit of baking soda. And I'm actually going to, which I don't normally do, is sift my flour, but today I'm going to sift the flour. So we are going to do some flour sifting as well. So we might as well just get into it right now. So let me see here. So first we'll start out, we're going to separate, and I'm still getting used to the island being here and working on this. Actually, I'm not used to having so much room when I do these. Speaking of swirlies, we picked up a BSR Century number 6 yesterday. Oh really? That's a tough one to find. That is a tough one to find. I'm gonna keep it real. Now the party's starting. She showed up. Wow, that's really cool. Yeah, those 6s are pretty. I mean, any 6 is kind of rough to find. Even when you start getting into even Wagner's. I mean, you don't see a Wagner number 6 everywhere. And one of my biggest regrets is one of the first skillets that I ever got, I got from, like, say, Facebook Marketplace back years ago, was a number 6 small logo Griswold, and I thought I could get them anywhere, and it was a great skillet, and I sold it to somebody that I knew in New York City that said, I can't ever find a Griswold, and I was like, well, I'll sell you this one, and I got a good price out of it, and I'm like, well, I'll find another one. And I've never seen another number 6 in real life in Griswold, either large logos or small. So yeah, so there's that. So there is that. That's a cool one. I know. I got really lucky when I got my Pick with Favorite number 6 smiley logo. And I got it for a great price. I see them going for anywhere from $150 to $250 for those, and I didn't pay anywhere near that for mine. And I was lucky to get it. And that was, if you've seen some of my older videos, that Pick with Favorite ware is absolutely perfect. That is an almost perfect skillet. So anyway, let me plug one. I'm going to plug this charger in. I don't know how much charge I put on this camera, and hopefully I don't close out the entire screen. All right, cool. So we didn't. But first we're going to start out. We want room temperature egg, according to everyone on the interwebs. So let me just set this over there. And we're going to separate these eggs out. I might just use the bigger. I don't know. Will it matter? I don't think it will. So let me just make sure that I'm doing this somewhat right. So let's first start out by separating our eggs. And we don't want any egg yolk into the whites at all, like 0, none, because it'll mess up the meringue. For the second week in a row, I'm doing a meringue, which is pretty different for me to do. Normally, I've never done a meringue until the last couple of live streams, so this is new to me as well. Let's make sure I don't put any of that in there. There we go, and into there. Okay. So let me put this into this bowl, because I'm going to beat those. I should have put it into this other bowl. That's what I should have done. But hey, it's early in the morning. I'm just getting started, and I slept like crap last night. Let's see, create pancakes. So I picked up a Martin Stove and Range Dutch oven yesterday. Really nice. Man, that's a score. That is a super cool score. I need to get my Martins out and start using those on the streams. I don't have a Dutch oven, but that's one I would like to have. And I wasn't at first. I was kind of bummed out that I was using these eggs instead of the normal farm eggs, but these eggs are really big, and I'm gonna need a lot of white to make this meringue. So I'm kind of cool on that, where I wasn't too cool on it the other day. Crepe pancakes. I've never made crepes either. If you've ever seen this show, Talladega Nights, where they absolutely make total fun of those, that's one of the. I don't even know if I've probably had them, but I don't know if I have or not. So anyway, no lid, but the Lodge lid fits. Okay, cool, very cool. So we'll put their white into there. The white into there. 3 tablespoons of sugar. 3 tablespoons of sugar is what I'm going to need to add. And then we're going to do that a little bit at a time as far as the when we make the meringue. Now what I'm going to do with this meringue as well is I'm going to set this, I'm going to take this off of there, and I'm going to throw you're supposed to chill this, apparently. That's one of the mainstays of this recipe is chilling these eggs so they stiffen up better. So we're going to go that route. There we go. And I'm going to back you guys off just a touch, because I think, are you guys in the comment section on there too much? I don't know. It was a great score. Can't wait to get it cleaned up. Yeah, that's a great score, man. Is it the hamburger? Did you say hamburger logo? Okay, so we're going to cream this up. I'm going to get that into there. I'm going to mix that together. I'm going to get the whisk, get that whisk out. I got to tell you though, this is really nice having these, having this island over here. Let's see. Yeah, that's a super cool score. Let me see here. So then we're gonna go with. So I separated my eggs. We're gonna do 2 tablespoons to the 2 tablespoons of milk to this. Yeah, and you guys are gonna have to forgive me a little bit if I'm a little just not organized as usual, because we're doing this. This is totally different to me. This is having this much space and all that is. This is a different animal. So we're gonna put our tablespoons of milk into there. Got that. Yes, the hamburger look, very cool. So 2 tablespoons of milk. And I want to be really, normally when I do stuff, I mean, you guys have all seen it, I don't worry about accuracy, like down to the, other than when I do sourdough, I don't really get down to the nitty gritty of having to be that accurate. But it seems like with most Chinese, the big difference I see with Chinese food and say Japanese food is a little more down to the milliliter. You know what I mean? It's a little more like that. Let me get let's do my half a teaspoon of vanilla. Not, and I was thinking you could use like coconut, you could use almond flavoring, you could use any of these things to make that up. Let me see. So that should be my half teaspoon. So a half teaspoon of the vanilla. Put that into here. And get that going, and that's the other thing with like preheating the. I've got the skillet really low preheating. It's like in between 1 and 2, so I'm hoping that'll be enough. It needs to be about 300, 325 is what I'm seeing. Let's see, and then we're going to throw in. Let's see, how much of this baking powder do we need? Another half teaspoon of baking powder. And teaspoon that's not wet, so we're going to use quarters. One in there and then one in here. There we go. And that's a quarter teaspoon. I'm using a quarter teaspoon because I know I said a half, so that's why I did that way. And then we're going to need 3 tablespoons of flour. And I am going to, we are going to sift that out. So where's my flour? There it is. Clabber girl, yeah. I didn't realize till the other day. Wow, that's nice. Already messed that up. I didn't realize the other day that you could buy aluminum-free baking powder. So that's on my list now to do, is get some aluminum-free. I didn't realize it had so much aluminum in it, but you can actually get aluminum-free baking powder. So that's on my list of things to do. And that's something maybe, you know, if you're worried about stuff like that, maybe that's something that you would look at too. If you're trying to avoid aluminum. 3 tablespoons of the flour. There we go. And we're going to definitely sift that. Set that back off to the side. Get that out of the way before I knock it off the counter. Let's see. Ronald Coward said hello. Hello, Ronald. How are you? And we're going to sift that down into there. Wow, I feel so fancy. Like, totally not how I normally cook. Sifted my flour. Let me see here. Baking powder, egg yolks, and then we're going to whisk that up. Now we don't want to overbeat it, but we want it to be, incorporated in there. So hopefully you guys can see into, yeah, you guys can see into there. Did I put the sugar in there to get separated? I don't think I need that. I don't need the sugar in there. The sugar will be in the other part. So that's all we need. And it suggests that I do this instead of using, normally I would use butter to make the pancakes. And even though I generally use unsalted to do like bake with or cook with, it's said to go with as high a smoke point oil as you have, which for me that would be sitting over there is grapeseed oil. So that should be somewhere around 450. And to use very, very little oil. So, and I've seen people do these. They did them in like the egg holders or like forms. And but I also saw people do them and just use the bag to do that. So, I'm just going to use, and other people just use a spoon, but I'm going to kind of make up sort of a half-assed bag, pastry bag to put those out. So that looks about where it needs to be a little more, doesn't need to, we don't want lumps. Which normally I don't worry about lumps too much either, but you know, I'm going to worry about lumps today. Okay. That looks like it doesn't have, yeah, there's still a little bit, maybe just another 30 seconds or so like that. Let's see, dealing with my dry socket. Oh, I saw dry sockets. I saw dry sockets in there. That's never good. I was a lot older when I had my wisdom teeth taken out. I was like in my 30s, I think. And my stitches, This is a kind of a crappy, it's kind of, I don't know. I know Ming was little when I had him taken out. And I got him done on a Friday, and I got him done early in the morning, and then I went and picked Ming and Tick up from school at the end of the day, and I had, you know how they give you pain medication and all that stuff. Well, then Saturday morning, so I had him taken out, and the first night one of my stitches came out in the back, and then the next morning I'm getting Ming around about 9 or 10 in the morning, and we're back there, you know, just brushing her teeth, getting dressed for the day, and all that kind of stuff. And I was getting ready to take my pain medication in the morning after having my wisdom teeth taken out, and I had the top of it off, and I set it on the counter. And I had a really old place with like the original sink, the original porcelain sink in there that had like the plug, used the old ceramic plug in it with no strainer on top. And I had she needed something, so I set the pills down, and she walked over there and went ta-da, like some kind of thing she was doing at the time, and knocked every one of my pills into the sink while the water was running. So I had my stitches come out and all the pain medication, but like 2 were knocked down the drain or soaking wet. So I had no medication. So Monday I called and I said, hey, my kid knocked all these things down the drain. I've had two pain pills for the entire weekend. You're supposed to take like 4 or 5 a day or something. And they were like, well, sorry, with the new laws, we can't give you any more pain medication at all. It's like, they consider it pill shopping. And I'm like, oh man. I'm like, so I had to do the whole thing without any kind of pain medication. And I thought for sure and they were like, well, you can put tea bags on it. You can like put those on the open sockets and all this kind of stuff and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, okay, I don't think you realize, I feel like I really just like, this is the worst pain I've ever had in my entire life. And you're telling, I'm like, and if you knew Ming when she was little, you would totally understand that that's something that every time Ming was around, that was something like that went on. She was just that kid that was always like, she was never in any trouble, but she was always causing trouble because she was just so, she was just super, super on point, like all the time. She was all the time doing something. So before I forget, I'm going to throw the cream of tartar in here now. So I've got 2 egg whites in here, and then we're going to slowly put this on. We're going to slowly but surely add the 3 tablespoons of sugar until these are stiff. So I'm going to go 1/4 of a teaspoon or less. Some people even say a pinch, but my recipe says 1/4. So I'm doing 1/4. So let me see here, 1/4 teaspoon of that, and then we're going to get this started. We're going to go at a fairly high whisk. There we go. And then I'm going to add, and that should be all I need, but I do need to put, where is the sugar? Right here. It's right there. These over these garlic cloves. My dad told me that they would call it the Alaskan, what do you call it? The Alaskan, what the heck do they call it? The Alaskan, some kind of dental procedure. Oh, what's that one thing that you get when, what is that? I forget what that dental procedure was called, but they would call it the Alaskan, I don't know, the thing they do with your gums. I've never had one done, but, and they would take bear grease, they would just pour bear grease down into the sockets of your teeth. They pull it and then they just fill it with bear grease. Talk about a hell of a way, man, that was suck. Get that going. right over top of that. I had all 4 wisdom teeth in my late 30s. Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's when I had mine. It was like I was like literally like probably almost 40 years old, which is one of the other things that like my parents should have had done when I was a kid, but didn't have done when I was a kid. And I didn't get all of them. I had 3 taken out, and then now I have one that's come in. But it didn't bother me. But they are different. They are your wisdom teeth. The enamel on them is different, so they will cause you problems at some point if you don't take, because they're hard to take care of too, because they're clear in the back like that. So it's like they fall. That's when I had mine taken out, because one of mine just fell apart, clear in the back, like, and it wasn't even all the way through. It was just like the tip of it. But that tip came off, and then they're like, "Hey, that's got to come out." Yeah, Rick, I get that 100%. When I was a kid, I was eating potato chips, and I was probably like maybe 10, 11, and I had a potato chip that kind of went between my teeth and my gums and sliced it, and they had to cut that. It was a baby tooth, though. I remember that. It wasn't a permanent tooth, because I remember them saying it, that I didn't need to. Let me throw this other tablespoon. Whoa! See that? That was pretty funny. Luckily, I got most of it in there. But, I'm sitting here reading and doing it at the same time. But yeah, so let's see how that is. That sugar in it. Plus, I want to scrape that down too and get all that sugar into there. There we go. Yeah, I still have all 4. I'm not the wiser, right? Okay, so anyway, let me scrape the rest of that sugar down into there, and then we'll check and see how these peaks are. That's the thing with meringue. That looks pretty stiff. This is where I need Val. I wish Val was here, because Val probably knows about meringue. Val knows about stuff. But it seems really foamy. I think I'll take that. Let's do 1 more minute to get the rest of that sugar that I just put in there, and then we'll call that whipped. I'm going to do, about 30 seconds to get that other stuff incorporated in there, and then we're going to go from there. Tooth fell apart because it was under the gum. Yeah, handsome son, they're hard to take care of. Yeah, and there's a video of me, because I told him I couldn't get anybody to drive me home for when I had my wisdom teeth taken out. So I drove myself to get my wisdom teeth taken out. And so I had to drive home. I drove myself home after I got my wisdom teeth taken out. Might be the dumbest thing I ever did. And I even went to I had to go to the like Kroger or Meyer or somewhere like afterwards and get had to get my medication. And yeah, it was bad. It was bad. But there's a video of me somewhere, because I was calling a friend of mine to let him know that I was out of there. And I thought I was hitting the voice message thing, and I hit the video thing. But yeah, I drove myself home, and it wasn't right down the street either. I had to drive it. I had to go get my own medication, and then get my own medication, and I had to drive myself home then, and then go pick my kids up like 4 or 5 hours later. It wasn't optimal, and they kept going. They were like, yeah, when's your ride going to be here? And I'm like, anytime. They'll be here. They're probably already out there. Let me go check. And I just walked and went out. And that was all. That was it. I think that's about as peaked up as it's going to get. That looks pretty good to me. Looks like whipped cream. Let me make sure I put everything in there. I think I did. Like I said, there's not a lot to this. It's just a matter of doing it the right way, I guess. So hopefully, so far so good. Stretch here and see how this goes. Like I said, the skillet behind me is heating up. I'm gonna get a drink of my coffee. Yeah, it took over a week for, yeah, 100%, man. Teeth get, when your teeth go bad, they go bad. There's just no two ways around it. Like I'm in the middle, I had a rugby accident back when I was in college. And I got two of my teeth knocked out. And not the two front teeth, but the side teeth. Two of my side teeth knocked out. And I've had to, one's bad, and I just had the one, I had an implant, and the one implant they just had to take it out, and I'm in the middle of doing it right now. And but I've got to, they had to do a bone graft with one of my teeth, and now they're going to put it back in. Now I get to go back and they had to pop that tooth back in there. Let's see, so we want to take a third of this meringue, roughly, and we want to pre-mix that into there. So I'm going to take a third of that into there, and we're going to mix that in. And we're going to fold it. We're not going to use the whisk. We're going to be folding from here on out. Because we don't want this to mess, I don't want to mess this up. And then we're going to take this, once I've folded this, and put it back in there and fold the rest of that. Yeah. Japanese and dental stories live today. Yeah, man, you get it all here. You get it all here. Let's fold that. I'm going to fold that until it turns yellow. And that's what we're going to do. But yeah, when I was at the dentist last time, they were like, does that implant, those two implants feel funny? And I was like, well, they've always felt funny. You know, they're not real. Like they get cold when it's cold outside. Things like that. I've never really had any problems with them. I've had them for decades. And they were like, yeah, they got to come out. I'm like, why? And they were like, the bone on top of it. I said, why, are they bad? And they're just like, no, but the bone on top of it is. So that's my new thing this year. The one thing I have to do is, which I've already started doing, but I have to have them taken out, because it takes like 3 weeks for that bone to be able to, the bone graft to be able to work, so they can do more horrifying things to your mouth. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I should have that day. Let me see. I'm just trying to catch up dental and cooking today. Yeah, you get a little bit of everything here. Dogs. Okay, so that's cool. I don't want to overdo. I don't want to put it in there like this, so I'm just going to dump that into there. In with the rest of it. That seems to make sense if I don't drop it, because that's slippery. This is really fluffy, though. I'm kind of digging on that. So far, it's like what I've seen this happen, but I've seen like really bad things go wrong with this too. So if it doesn't turn out, it doesn't turn out, but hey, we got to give it a try, and if it does work, then we'll all know that if I can do it, anybody can do it. Let me see here. Kind of like omelets. If I can make an omelet, anybody can make an omelet. If I can make a cake, anybody can make it. Anything you see on here, you know, Tuscan chicken. If I can make Tuscan chicken, anybody can make Tuscan chicken. Okay, so that's good. That's good to go. Wipe my arm off. And then we just fold that in. And then I think we're almost getting close to putting it in a bag. The problem, though, the last time I made meringue was that the meringue started to fall and separate. So I'm wanting to do this somewhat of a timely manner. And this should make two 2 pancakes, which they look pretty big. Let's see here, get that going. Fold, 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 get the stuff from the bottom. And I'd say that should be folded. There we are. I'm looking for that color. It's not swirled up. It seems like a fairly consistent color. So I'm cool with that. We're gonna put that in the bag. And I can figure out what I did with that bag. There's the bag. This is where it's gonna be, this is where I think the mess is all gonna go on. Because you know how many times, there's actually somewhere around this house, there's a piping bag set that I've never ever in my life used. FYI, crusty gluten-free pancakes are pretty good. Just adjust with a teaspoon of vanilla and a teaspoon of maple flavor. Okay. Double tap the screen, folks. Show the love. Yeah, there you go, Greg. Thank you. Thank you so much. So yeah. So here we go. Okay, so now I'm going to attempt to pour that in there. Because everybody that I saw one person do it on the interwebs, do this, why they just flopped it down with a fork, or they just ladled it on there, and it looked really terrible. It didn't come out right, because you want these to kind of, I guess, be jiggly at the end. So, and there's another Asian pancake that I want to do, and I might do that next weekend, next Sunday, but I'm not sure yet. I'm going to try that one ahead of time. I'm going to try that one ahead of time this week at some point. There we go. There we go. All right. So let's do that. And then we'll bring you guys over to here. Let me wrap this bag up first. This is the part. Hi from, what does that say, Iran? A long way. Closer to Japan than I am, I think. Hello from the United States. Okay, so there we go. And I think I'm going to clip. This is where I think it's going to get, oh man, it's got that bottom on it. I didn't think about that. Oh well, I'll clip the whole thing and I'll just try and be easy. So let's move you guys over this way, over to, and I think I'm going to cut the, light off, because I don't want to drag the cord all the way over. But we should have enough light over this way to see how this goes. And it should be heating up. I'm going to check it with the dog's puzzles in my way. There we go. All right. Sorry about that, but dog's puzzles in my way. All right, so let me hit that with a little touch of water and see if that's, yeah, that should be good enough. It's not bouncing all over there, but it should be. And let me clip the end of that. I'm sure Mercy would like to hear that. So let me clip this off, the end of this. I don't know how that's going to go because it's got one of those weird ends on it. That was not something that I had expected. Yeah, that might be the fatal flaw, guys. But we'll see. So we want to use just a little bit of oil into there. A small amount. And then we'll whisk that around. I don't want too much oil in there. Unlike any other time that we do something like this. Don't want a heck of a lot. They were using like just a little teeny bit. Okay. All right. Let me get a paper towel. I'm gonna wipe some of that out. some of that out. And there was one other thing that I forgot to do, but I can fix that here in just a second, which is grab a lid to this. I want to get one of the glass lids. I want a glass lid. I want the glass lid. Sorry to leave you guys hanging with that weird shot. Okay. Wipe up just a little bit more of that. There we go. All right. We'll see how that comes out. I'm going to use this thing to get it out of there. Maybe. Because I don't know how this bag's going to, I don't know if this bag's going to work out now. But that's like that. So let's see if we can't pipe that into there this way. Okay. Oop. There we go. All right. Okay, so that's going to be a little weird shape. That is definitely going to be weird. What are we making? Japanese pancakes. We're attempting Japanese pancakes. I don't know how well this is going to work because I didn't realize my bags were the kind of bags that you set them up on the sides. They're made to stand up as you pour them in instead of the usual kind. So, and then they sit let those sit in there about a minute or so, and we'll add a little bit more onto there. There we go. Yeah, that's not going to work out that great. But it's going to work nonetheless. It's just not going to be, if you had a pastry bag. If you had a pastry bag, you'd be in a lot better shape. But I do not. So, I'm thinking about it. Oh, and I want to put a little bit of water in there as well. I want to put just a touch of water into the front there so they get the steam. And we'll put the lid on. And we'll let that sit and do its thing for about, they say about 4 to 5 minutes, but I'm going to look at it here in a minute because I don't trust that. And I do want some syrup, so I don't really want maple syrup. I wanted honey on this, so we're going to do a little bit into this container. Put that in the back, maybe a little bit more, because I definitely want to get rid of this crystallized honey, because I'm really sick of having it around. And some butter. And a big old splotch of butter. And we're going to turn that on in the back and get that melting down. There we go. So let's see how this comes out. There's a whole lot of this. That's going to be where we're at with this for a second. So it's going to be waiting to see a little dusting of cinnamon and a couple Babe Ruth bars on the side. Poof, guest leave. Yeah, we'll see what happens. See how this goes. Let me throw a timer of 3 minutes on there. Because if not, it's going to burn. So I don't know if it is or it isn't. But you can't mess with these too much. That's the other big thing. You can't mess with them. Which is awkward for me because I'm always kind of, you know, we're always kind of messing with stuff. So hopefully we do okay with that. As I get ready to start messing with stuff. I think I'll just leave it and not mess with it. There we go. But it's still steaming really well, so I'll take that. I will take some of that. I got something on that back burner going on. There we go. Yeah. All right, check comment section, see what's going on. Yeah, this is nothing but, this is going to be nothing but comedy of errors. Unless it turns out. And if it turns out, then we did real good. And if not, I didn't do real good. So, we'll see what happens. But it's nice kind of having that glass lid on there, then I can see what's going on. So that's 3 minutes at a fairly low heat. And we still have that drip drop. The drip drop lid's doing its number. That's doing good, which I kind of dig on that. Like I always say, if you can get yourself a couple glass lids, get yourself a couple glass lids. Because they are definitely handy to have. I got sugar on the floor. So that's about 5 minutes. We'll give it one more, I don't know, let's see how it smells. And we'll check the bottom. It's still sticking on there, so I think we're going to let it sit this thing for a minute. Might even grab just a little bit more water for some steam in there. Steam going in there because it's supposed to be, the consistency is supposed to be jiggly at the end of the day with that. So we'll see if we got jiggly or not. One more minute. And I have this heat really low. It's like, I don't know if you guys can see it. Can you guys see that back in the back? But it's only on, it's between just under 2. And we want it to be done all the way through. And when we jump into the other side, maybe 3 to 4 minutes on the other side as well. But I'm thinking that it might need to be messed with. Ooh, there we go. Bang. Yeah, so we did about 5-6 minutes. And we'll do, let me get my timer reset. Boom, that actually worked. But we want it to be done. Yeah, I'll take that. If I would have let that go any longer, it'd have burned it. Yeah, there we go. That's working. Okay, so let's put the lid back on it. Keep that steam going in there. So far, so good. But, you know, we're not going to sit and start patting each other on the back yet. That screams for, oh man, I'm telling you what. Imagine how painful it would be to have. Imagine how painful it would be for Cast Iron Chaos to not fuss with it. I don't know. Let's see, that screams fluffy. Yeah, so far so good. So far so good. And we gave that other side 3 minutes. And like I said, I'm just below number 2 on my temperature gauge. And that one's going to sit for a second while I pour the other one. Because you're supposed to be able to do 2 in the same one. And if I would have had a piping bag, like a regular normal person, then that probably would have worked out a little bit better. But since I didn't, in my bags, those freezer bags are great if you got to pour stuff in because they sit on the counter nice, which is why I have them. But they don't have the flat edge on the corner to make that to where you can make that little thing. And it actually made 2 holes. So we'll see how it all pans out. Might throw a little bit more water back in there for some more steam, and we'll go that direction with it. But I don't want it to get so much water in there that it gets to the pancake itself. We said 3 minutes on that side, so we had about 6 minutes on one side and 3 on this side, and we'll see how that all plays out. And we'll mix up that butter mixture, honey mixture in the back while we're messing around. While we're sitting here waiting on it. There we go. That crystallized honey is gonna be the hitch. I got the feeling that's gonna be the hitch. Is that crystallized honey? That's what happens when you get all natural honey from the guy down the street. It doesn't always, they don't filter, you know, this hasn't been, sometimes when honey's too sweet and it crystallizes, then you gotta mess with it. It gets hard as a brick bat. There, that's going pretty well. I'll take that. Let's see where we're at here. And I'm gonna check the bottom of that, because we're at 3 minutes. 3 minutes on that, but I don't want to mess with it too much. I think it's not ready. It's not. Let's see what we get. Oh yeah, we'll take that. Actually, I will take that. That's what we want. Excelente. Let me pull that off. Flip that back over onto the other side. And we'll put that over here on the plate. And we'll do it here in just a second. There we go. There we go. Yeah. Oh, it's kind of flat out. That's why you don't touch them. That's why you don't mess with them. They kind of flattened out a little bit. You don't want that. But you can see that it's, yeah, that double flip, man, that dropped it. It dropped it down to being but see how, I don't know if you can see the sponginess in there. Oh man. Okay, let's put a little syrup on that one. We'll try that out while we're making the other one. We just won't mess with it as much. We got an idea what we're doing this time. There we go. Yeah, the other one won't be as flat as this one was. That's probably hot enough. Let me throw a little bit more oil onto here. Grapeseed oil. There we go. Yeah, I think that overall, you just can't flip them. You got to flip them once. Like I said, Japanese cooking, it's kind of persnickety. You got to do it a certain way. We know that for this next one. Not to mess with it. Let me just wipe this oil out of this pan. Get some of the gunk out of there. And we'll throw that other one in there. We'll attempt this next one. Because this next one's going to be good. Thanks, Rocket Caver. Appreciate it. So we'll go move back over here. And we're going to go into the next one. And go with that route with it. There we go. Okay. And hopefully we can do this without getting it making it too big. And then we leave it sit about a minute in there. We're going to let that sit, and then we're going to pile this back on top of it. I'm going to wait till 12 goes to 1, we get to 1201, and then I'm going to drop the rest of that, and we're going to make one big fat one. Definitely. Well, we'll just give that a second there to go. I know. We're all patiently waiting. You're like, just put the pancake mix on there. Come on, bro. Just put it on there. There we go. There was about a minute. So we'll put the rest of that on there. Put another layer. You can make a big one. There we go. Okay. That's it. We'll throw the steam on there. Throw a teaspoon of steam into there. Maybe. And drop that lid on. And put the timer on for 4 minutes. 4 minutes. And then we'll try this other one out. We're going to try this other one out while we're doing it. Alright. So, not the overall aesthetic that I was hoping for, but we'll see what the flavor's like. Spit my gum out and see what the consistency of this is like. Yeah, we know not to mess with it. That's the big thing, because it dropped. It's souffle. I should have known. Souffle. Wow, that's really good. I will warn you, it's got a little bit of an eggy flavor, but it's almost like cereal. It has more of a cereal flavor than it does a pancake flavor. It's almost like cereal milk. And there's like no chew. You could just swallow that. Yeah, there's no chew at all. That's pretty amazing, actually. Looks like the flan I had last night, also eggy. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of warmer weather for Ohio next week, finally. Yeah, we'll have a little bit. It's going to be just enough. It's going to be just enough warm enough to make it muddy. It's just mud everywhere. Yeah, that's got, it's got a different flavor to it. It's hard to describe. It really is hard to describe that. It just, yeah, it's just it's kind of melting your mouth. It's neat though. I mean, I would definitely, if you had the right bag, if I'd have done it right the first time, used the right bag, I would make this all the time. And it's super easy. I mean, there wasn't anything. Then there's, the thing about it, if you guys didn't notice, especially for people that are watching, like, say, how much flour you use and stuff, there was 3 tablespoons of flour in this, instead of using like, which I would think that'd be probably about a little less than a quarter cup. But, you're not mixing like a whole cup of flour, and you're not doing there's not a lot of flour or anything in it. It's all egg. And the egg, that makes up for it. How do I want to say it? The egg makes up for all the flour, and the meringue in there just makes it so. I mean, that's one of the fluffiest pancakes I've ever had. But it doesn't have like a pastry fluffy to it. It's almost like a custard. It's like custard. That's really good. Yeah, I bet you are. How long did it take you to be able to get down your road, Rick? Probably a while. So yeah, I mean, that is really good. I definitely, I would recommend it. And you can see from the mistakes I made of what not to do. But I think there are some things that you could definitely take away from this and the other thing is that a lot of times when people make these, they just, I mean, they really trash them. And so far, I mean, I've never made it before, and this was fairly easy as long as you kind of, you know, do your basic techniques of, you know, knowing when to flip your pancake on cast iron and things like that. Let's see if we know that this thing's enormous. Actually, I think I'm even going to get a bigger spatula for this one. We're going to go big or go home. Yeah. Oop, that one's a little dark. But the pan's been a little dark right there, but I'll take that. But can you guys see how, I'm not going to mess with it. Did you see how fluffy that was? Like jiggly when that one went up there? Turn that heat down. Definitely turn that heat down to in between. I'll turn it down to simmer and we'll go 2 minutes. Yeah, that just got a little dark right through there. But it's still, I don't know, let me see how it looks on there. Yeah, it's not as dark as it looks on there. It's not near as dark as it looks on the screen. Like not even close. Yeah, and we'll do, we did 2 minutes on that side. Yeah, that's not near as, yeah, that looks, on the screen it looks burnt right up through there, and it's not. It's just a really, really dark, it's kind of darker, but it's not. If I turn the light on, it'd be a lot less. Yeah, it's the one flip, it's definitely a one flip kind of deal. Yeah, bigger tires. Oh, put the lid back on. My bad. Almost forgot to do the lid. Used to regular pancakes. But that is super, I mean, that's gotta be, and the thing of it is, you guys, I know you guys can't see it from, maybe you can see it from the side if I move the camera just right. But if you can see that, yeah, I've got it in horizontal mode, so it's gonna darken up. That's why I never do side stuff very well too many times, because as soon as I move it, I've got my camera on horizontal, so it doesn't move the same. Is that a plastic spatula? Yeah, it is a plastic spatula. It's that new shiny plastic, just like that, and it's got that wood plastic handle on it with the plastic rivets in there. They just started making them. It's a new one. Rick, have mercy, paid for more gravel. There you go. Yeah, so 2 minutes on that side. But yeah, the double flip, man, is definitely not the way to do it. Okay, so that was 2 minutes there. And we'll see how that is working. How that worked out in there. Put that like lid somewhere where I don't break my lid. There, or chip it. Yeah, all right. So we're gonna flip that onto here. I'm gonna go at 2 minutes. Because the more you touch it, the quicker it goes. Yeah, the more you touch that thing, the quicker that drops. And that might have something to do with my meringue, but I'll give you guys a better look on the side there, if you can see that way. That's what she said. Yeah. So it kind of, yeah, it definitely, there's something to it where it's dropping, but I made a huge pancake. They should be about half that. But if you can see that, for whatever reason, it's dropping after I flip it over. But I don't probably shouldn't flipped it. I should have just put it up there. And it doesn't have the jiggle. So there's some things to work out, but overall, I think I'm gonna take that. I will take that. And plus it's huge. This one's enormous. That makes a heck of a lot more than the 2 pancakes that the recipe said it would make. And I still have another batter. I still have more batter over there. So we could probably try one more. There we go. There we go. So yeah, we can try one more before it's all said and done. Let me put some more oil in there. There we go. know it's taken me a minute to do this, but I've never done this stuff before. First timer, first day. It's my first day on the job. Okay, so there's that. We'll bring the other one over here. We'll pop one more on here. We'll pop one more over there and see how that one goes. This should be about the end of the bag. Yeah, as pretty as this bag is, this will be a small one. Yeah, that bag is not ideal for that. Back to milking cows. And I'm not going to do the other thing where I wait that minute and put more on there. There we go. There we go. That's plenty. So we'll set that for, we'll go 3 minutes on that deal. We'll come over and taste that. Put the steam water in there. Put the lid on. Put water in there for the steam. Oh shoot, turn that off. I haven't heard anything because it needs to be low anyway. Okay. There we go. Oh, too much. I got over the pancake. All right, just throw that on there. Now everything's going to hell. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is we're talking about tires. So there we go. Come over here. We'll taste this. But yeah, I mean overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah, that's good. It just has this. It's a really odd flavor. I can't even describe it. It's almost like it's just like a. And you can see how thick they are. Even though that it dropped, you know, but it's a souffle, so. The next time we'll just pick it up. But I'm going to put the timer on for 3 minutes. But man, they're super fluffy until I flip them over. I would love to see that modified swamp boat lawnmower. I was only kidding about the pontoons. I'm in the city suburbs where the house on that one went away. That one scrolled through on me. Yeah, I live in a city environment like that. Didn't care for it. But yeah, we'll eat this one. Get my coffee. But yeah, I mean, it's overall, it's still a cool pancake, even though it dropped. And they are really, I mean, they're done. You can see inside. I mean, they're fluffy. They have the whole air holes in them. Rick, I moved. I feel. Oh, yeah, that's right. You are moving to Maine, aren't you? Moving out of Texas. And honestly, I don't think it needed as much syrup on there. I'd rather rough it in the wild. My statement still is my statement still is wild. I would love to see it. Yeah. Very good though. And you know they're done. They're not falling apart. But yeah, I just can't really put a. I wish I could describe it for you guys. It's just like the lightest thing ever. There's no chew. As soon as you put it in your mouth, it's just gone. Just melts away. Think of Red Green guys. Oh, the Red Green show? Yeah. Well, if they don't find you handy or find you handsome, they at least should find you handy. Wasn't that the saying? It's been a long time since I've seen that show. So cast iron trip to Maine. Man, there's a lot of good cast iron in Maine. That's where yeah, there's a lot of good everything in Maine. A lot of good antiquing in Maine. It's That's where it all started. It was right there. You want to get into the old stuff, that's where the old stuff is. One lobster fee. You'll be the one with all the lobsters. You'll probably be able to walk out to a lot of, just like anybody here where I live, they go fishing. You can just go get a lobster. Get your own little lobster traps. And you'll be in good shape. Let's see how this is working out. Not as much fluff as the other one. But let's see how it... You can see how it's bubbling and everything. Yeah, it's still kind of sticking on there a little bit. Let's give it another minute. Let's give it one more minute and then we'll pull that off of there. Where's my coffee? I need my coffee. $5 a pound for a lobster? That ain't bad. I don't know what it is here, but we're sure as hell not getting them right out of the water here either. If you want them right out of the water around here, you better go to Red Lobster. That's about as fresh water as I can get a lobster where I live. I'll eat my weight, yeah. Yeah, is that good? $5 a pound for lobster? It's been a while. I don't think I bought lobster since last Christmas. Not this Christmas, but the Christmas before. Cause I'm in the Midwest, man. We don't get a whole lot of fresh lobster here. All right. So our timer's good. There, that's oh, that even fluffed up a little bit more. Ooh, I don't want it to rip. Yeah, that's not done. That's gonna rip. That's gonna rip. I don't want that. So we'll go, let's see, we're at 5 minutes. Let's go one more minute. And then we'll take that off of there. Yeah, it's all garage. It's all his garage. That's an average 1.5 pounds. Yeah, well, I guess so. I mean, if you get one for if you're getting a lobster for $7.50, yeah, that is a great price. I'd take that. I would take that all day long. But today we learned, I think we got a good idea on how to make these things. Really just comes down to don't mess with them and put them out in a better bag. That's just the reality of it. The reality of it all is it's just got to be in a better bag than, putting it on there. Or maybe a ladle. I don't know. Maybe a ladle would have worked, but to do it right. But it is what it is. The thing of it is, it sucks is you can't do it on a griddle because you have to have that lid on there. So you've got to do it. You just have to almost completely do it in a pan instead of normally I would use a round griddle to make pancakes. Let's see here. Seems like we're just not getting that one side to want to come up. Oh, I wasn't ready. That's what it is. This wasn't hot enough. Okay. All right. Well, so I'm screwing the pooch at the very end. It is what it is. At least the first two came out good. The first two came out all right, and this still has a chance. I just thought it was on there too long, but I did take the heat down just a little bit, so that's where I made my mistake. Oh well. If that's the worst thing that happens to me all day, I'll have a good day. There we go. All right. Let's see what happens. Check comment section here. To this home cooking book. Yeah. This chapter would be called "How many different ways can you mess up a Japanese pancake in 30 minutes or less. But overall, I mean, the first one, you know, and surprisingly, as far as pancakes and waffles and eggs go, usually the first one's the worst one. Now this one was the first one was the best one, so kind of the opposite of what normally happens, but I'll take it. And like I said, so let's see. You make a lot of inspired food. What is your favorite? You know, it's really been what it is I go through things where I try and make stuff that's like, you know, like I did a lot of Asian takeout because I was trying to get the little tricks of Asian takeout. Last year, I was doing a lot of Southwest, a lot of tacos, a lot of burritos, a lot of that kind of stuff. And then before that, it was a lot of like, you know, meatloaf, things like that, like classic noodle dishes. You know, we were doing, you know, kind of everyday Midwestern fare. And so yeah, man, I mean, that's really what it is. That's really honestly how I've been doing it. And that's the thing. That's why the channel's going to change a little bit so I can expand what I'm doing, because like, you know, I've said this a dozen times and I don't want to be, you know, repetitive when I say it, but when I first started this channel, it was to be cast iron history and some restoration and some of the things that maybe the rest of the country doesn't get, because I live right here in the middle of Sydney, Wapak, and Piqua, Ohio. Like I live right dead center in between all three of them. And so that was my idea to begin with. I never had the idea to do a cooking channel until, you know, I did a couple and they did okay. And so, you know, to be honest, it's, you know, I just want to expand. I want to be able, you know, I've had emails where people want to see, you know, the gardening, or they want to see, you know, how I do this or how I do that, or, you know, going to get the milk and where I get the meat and all this kind of other stuff. And some of these processes take a long time to, you know, I want to be able to do something in more of it than it takes, like with the sourdough. It takes 2 or 3 days, you know, it takes 2 days to do a good loaf of sourdough bread. And I want to be able to show how I do it that works, because like I said in the beginning of this, if I can do it, anybody can do it. And I think that a lot of times when people watch a lot of these channels on YouTube, they get a lot of minutia and they get a lot of things you don't really need. And I want to be able to take some of the stuff that I do in a long process, like sourdough bread, for example, or, you know, making the salsas and doing things like that and making the hot sauces, and expand on that without all the minutia that other channels you get from other places that just you don't need to have it. So I think that side, that looks pretty done on the bottom. Yeah. I think we're done there. There we go. So that's just basically a pancake. I flipped it over too quick. But anyway, come over here and try that out. But yeah, I definitely want to do different things with the channel. I definitely want to do more edited videos. At some point, I am going to go down to 1 day a week of doing live streams, because it's kind of hard to do live streams when you're you know, we need more cast iron channels. Take the plunge. Yeah, it's just one of those things where I really want to do more with it, and it's hard to do it within an hour and a half. And it's also hard to come up with stuff to do every week that you can only do in an hour and a half with cast iron. Sometimes things take, you know, you want to bake something, and then I know everybody doesn't want to sit in my, you know, it'd be one thing if you guys were hanging out physically in my kitchen and, you know, having coffee and BSing around and whatever, but if I want to make a casserole or something like that, it's kind of hard to make the casserole and have everybody sitting here for 45 minutes while there's nothing going on. So I want to get past that. Those are really good, no matter what. They didn't. Yeah, as soon as I put them out there, I got to figure out why that did that. Because as soon as I put them down, the souffle drops. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just too rough with them. Maybe I'm just too roughing them around too much. But is what it is. Save the beagle piece. Oh, there's nothing in here the beagle can't have. And I don't think the Beagle's feeling very good today. Either that or she's just bummed out because we can't go outside. She just can't make it. She just doesn't make it. But yeah, those are good, man. The recipe, that recipe is like, no matter where you look this up, that's going to be about the same. I like this recipe that I did because it's a lot more moisture than the other ones. A lot of the other ones were a little drier looking. So maybe that's the trick to getting them to stay up. I don't know. I'll play around with it next time I do one. But overall, yeah, these aren't too bad. Let's see. Show like they are great. HB. Ready to do? Yeah, man. I mean, it's not like I don't enjoy doing the live streams. I really do. It's just, I'm getting to the point where it's like, I don't want to be repetitive. I don't want it to be the same thing where you guys show up and go, almost like going to your mom's house and it's like, oh shit, meatloaf again, or we're going to make omelets again, or we're going to do this again, or we're going to do that again. I don't want it to be like that. And, doing 2 a week and trying to jam them into an hour and a half. And I've been lucky, and I've been on this little this kick where I'm trying to learn new stuff. So that's helped, but I just don't want everybody to get bored with what we're doing. And I don't want to get bored with it. Even more than whatever. But I don't want to get bored with it. I want you guys to get bored with it. I don't want you guys, and that's why, this year I haven't bought a lot of cast iron. I didn't buy a lot of cast iron last year. But this year I'm going to that's why I've rearranged my place and my house and all this, the garage, so I've got more room and I can start bringing out some of the other pieces and all that. So anyway, Beagle, you want a piece of pancake? Beagle, you want a treat? Beags, you want a treat? Man, she's not. I don't think this dog's feeling good. I've been kind of worried about her the last couple days. She hasn't been acting right. I don't know. She's about ready to go to the VET. I don't know what's going on with her. But anyway, I won't have you guys sit around and stare at this any longer. So I'm going to jump off there. But yeah, appreciate everybody who did show up. We did do, I did try and do the subscriber mode today, which is a little bit on the more different side. I usually don't do subscriber mode, so I wanted to see how that would work out and everything else. There's one more shot of the unmarked Wagner we used today. It doesn't need to be flat. It doesn't need to be polished smooth for nothing to stick. There's no sticking in this today. But anyway, I'm going to jump off here. You guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thursday night, we will hope to see everybody again. Appreciate everybody who showed up today. Scotty, Handsome Stone, Greg, and Rick, thank you so much for moderating this madness. Fuzzy, thank you so much for showing up. Granny Graham, Rocket Caver, thank you so much for showing up. And everybody, I'm going to keep it real. I appreciate everybody that shows up every week and hangs out and, hangs out for Sundays and makes breakfast a heck of a lot more fun. Handsome Stone, we will see you. Yeah, Beegs isn't feeling good. She's out there laying on the couch, and she didn't even want a treat, so I don't know. I don't know what's going on with her. I have to figure it out. But anyway, I'll talk to you guys later, and we will definitely see you in the comment section on Thursday. All right. See you.